New York City, also known as the Big Apple, is one of the most iconic and vibrant cities in the world. With its towering skyscrapers, cultural diversity, and bustling streets, New York is a place that offers something for everyone. We take you there, where young South Africans are making extraordinary contributions. We caught up with Justin Davy, who is making waves in the bustling New York art scene.
New York City, the city that never sleeps. A global metropolis where cultures collide and dreams are made. Among the millions of voices that fills its streets, there is a vibrant community of South Africans who have made the Big Apple their home.
I am the type of South African, I still feel like I belong and I want to give back to it.
I wanted to be part of showing the world what Africa can do.
South Africa will always have that pull and always be a home for me.
I miss the food. Even though we can try to make it here and I cook some pap, it's not the same as South African pap.
New York City is calling my name. It's a city where it's very busy. It keeps you on your toes.
People undermine you, and that's just what it is.
It's the land of opportunity. The city never sleeps, as you can hear.
What does it mean to be a South African in a city that is so far removed from the familiar landscapes of Cape Town, Johannesburg, or Durban? What does it take to carve out a life in a city so different, yet so full of possibilities? I set out to speak to some South Africans who have made this city their home. When he was a young boy growing up in Kuils River, Cape Town, Justin Davy says he always knew he wanted to be an artist, but never dreamed that his art would one day really bring him to New York City.
I also recently found out, my father told me that I drew a picture of myself with very tall buildings, and I told myself that I would be in New York one day. And I only realized that recently, after moving to New York, that I had put this plan in motion almost 30 years ago.
After working for the Goodman Gallery in Johannesburg, Justin's wife landed a job in New York. He moved with her, and his Johannesburg bosses thought it a great idea for him to head up what would now become the Goodman Gallery, New York.
In Goodman Gallery's case specifically, it's always been an internationally focused gallery. We've always been looking outward, of course, with South Africa as our base and where most of our artists come from. The gallery was started in 1966 by Linda Givon, who later became Goodman. And it's always had this ethos of looking outwards and bringing everybody in across the cultural spectrum. It was a bastion of open and honest conversations around art during the apartheid era. It was a pioneer in showing artists of different colors in the same exhibition when that was often illegal or could get one in jail. And so there's a legacy with the gallery that I'm just participating in the last few years. I'm just continuing that, bringing that to New York.
New York City is not just home to world-renowned museums. It's also a hub for contemporary art galleries where emerging artists, groundbreaking exhibitions, and creative innovation come together to shape the future of the art world. The Goodman Gallery is one of around 1,400 galleries across the city.
We've had about 10 exhibitions, some of them group shows, some of them solo shows.
Okay. And have they mostly been South African or African artists?
Mostly South African and African, yeah. So we represent African artists and from the diaspora, but also artists from the global south.
Okay. And what is the sort of like the uptake been in New York, especially with South African art?
It's been a little bit slow. We often find that there's a lot of education that needs to happen. People have a certain idea of what African art is, and we're here to kind of bust that image and show them what's really happening in terms of the art world in South Africa.
On the day we visited the gallery, they were showcasing the works of the late Ghanaian-born artist and art historian Atta Kwame. His colorful works of vibrant geometric patterns are inspired by a wide range of influences, Justin tells me, showcasing the tradition of mural paintings and the design of street kiosks along the roads of West African towns.
He kind of pioneered a form of abstraction inspired by the landscape and the environment around him in Ghana. So a lot of what you see, the kind of the geometric abstraction, comes from a lot of the architecture and structures around the cities that he lived in. If you see the stripes, a lot of the stripes are related to what he calls kiosks. Okay. So if you think in the South African context, we call them spaza shops on the side of the road or in neighborhoods that are often makeshift structures, often with zinc, corrugated zinc and other kinds of materials that are used. And so he is inspired by these materials which, you know, in many ways are geometrically abstracted, but not in a kind of Western sense.
While talking art with Justin Davy, one cannot escape asking him about home and what he misses the most about South Africa.
I get emotional sometimes thinking of home. Of course, I miss South Africa as a place with a multitude of places and cultures and languages. I have different strategies of keeping myself connected to home. I have a young daughter and I sing Nkosi Sikelele as a lullaby every night to her, and she now knows the words. So that's one way I keep myself and her connected to back home. But I think if I had to sum it up in one word or one sentence, I think it would be resilience. You know, we have all across the cultural spectrum, we've gone through a lot as a country. We're still kind of finding our feet as a young nation in the family of nations. And I think, you know, we as South Africans have resilience. We bounce back. We are able to find joy and laughter and humor in any situation. Often when I travel and I travel with other South Africans are always the first to know where the party is, where the good music is, where the braai is, the best food is in any location in the world.
And while food is the one thing he misses most, Justin has no immediate intentions of returning to South Africa. He is set to make a name for himself right here in the very competitive New York art scene.